Welcome back, football fans. It is Friday the 24th of April and we have football predictions for today here on the YouTube channel. We're going to take a look at the biggest games being played today. We've got Real Madrid away at Real Betis. We have, as you can see here, Sunderland hosting Nottingham Forest. Some interesting corner data there. We're also going to take a look at the player props tool for that. And we're also going to take a very sorry and sad look at a team that were Premier League champions 10 years ago. And this week it was confirmed they will be now playing in League One next season. I am, of course, talking about Leicester City, who still have a big part to play in the Championship season because they are hosting Millwall tonight. Without further ado, let's get into it. So we'll start with the Premier League. Sunderland having a fantastic season so far. Let's just check the standings to see, Sunderland fans, that they are 11th. And you may have seen on X or wherever you get your football news this week that Sunderland are allegedly considering sacking their manager if they do not enter this late push for Europe. I mean, they are well within reach, to be honest. They're just 4 points, off Brighton. It's very tight in there. This is obviously a massive game if they do want to push on and put pressure on those teams above them. They're 11th with 5 games to go. They are safe. They've had an incredible season in the Premier League, back in the Premier League. Nottingham Forest, not so much, but a win here takes them to 39 points. That is pretty much the magic number, isn't it, these days? 40 points would be fantastic. That's what Leeds got the other night. They look safe. Tottenham, on the other hand, could very well be playing Championship football next season. And unfortunately for Tottenham, Nottingham Forest are hitting form at the right time. And I just want to flag something here. If we look at all of their away games recently, they have scored in each of the last 8 away games. They have got through in the Europa League against Porto. Big result. They are no pushovers, Porto, especially going there and getting a result. They scored 3 at Spurs. 2 away in Denmark, 2 at the Etihad, 1 at Brighton. These are tough games. Fenerbahce as well, 3-0 away from home. They scored at Leeds, they scored at Brentford, and the game that they did not score in, the last game that they did not score in, was away at Sporting Braga. Now I'm just going to show you our XG page very quickly, and we can see at the top of the table Chelsea are first for XG accumulated all season in the Premier League, 34 games they've played. If we look at expected points, and I've spoke to some Sunderland fans and they understand the news that's coming out about the manager, that they may replace him. Expected points has them 18th. Now, some people just simply don't believe in XG. They're 11th and the table doesn't lie. I can see both sides. This to me says that if they do not improve in some areas next season, they may have a case of second season syndrome where, yes, we've seen it before. Teams like Reading come up, do well, Sheffield United. They come up, they can finish 10th, they can push as high as 8th or whatever. But next season, reality hits them. And the games that they may have won by a single goal or the points that they may have got via draws here and there, you just don't get them next season because your luck runs out, and that is usually the case. Some other interesting things when you're looking at the expected points table. Aston Villa 12th. They have picked up 12.9 more points than has been expected. At the top of the table, Arsenal City still top, Liverpool 3rd, Chelsea 4th. As we saw, Chelsea should have been scoring a lot more goals given their XG. Bournemouth in 6th. Minus. So Bournemouth actually flying under Iraola. He is going to be a big miss for them. Let's get back to the data before putting together some predictions. So apart from a spell here in February and into March where they played Brighton, Fulham and Liverpool, tough games, they have been pretty solid at home this season, and that is what you want. In fact, those defeats were the first defeats of the season. That is pretty good going, and that is exactly, I said it on the last video about Leeds, you need to make sure you win your home games. Burnley have not done it, Sunderland have done it, Leeds have been really good away from home, picking up points, as we saw not just the other night, but as we analysed before that game, they are very, very hard to beat, as are Sunderland at home this season. Now, checking out the new rankings tab, we can look at corners against across the last 10 games, and we see that Sunderland are conceding quite a few corners, 63 across the last 10 games. Only Burnley, Wolves and West Ham, so all the teams that have been in and around the bottom of the table this season, have conceded more. Now, I've got an idea for a selection in my mind, but I want to add in a player, so let's check out the player props tool. So this is the player props tool, and links to all of the tools that we mention in these videos are in the description for you to check out this weekend. We're also going to check out the trends page in this episode. I'm going to show you how you can set alerts on many games at once in a matter of seconds. We're going to take a look at over 1.5 goals in this particular video. So now what we're going to do is just start to type Forest, and we see Sunderland against Nottingham Forest, 12 hours 52 minutes to go. And the stat that I want to look at, is actually populated it based on what I was looking at last, is this. It's the last 10 games, shots on target, and the player that I'm actually looking at for this game is Morgan Gibbs-White. He is in sensational form, hat-trick in his previous game, of course, but as we'll see in a minute, he is peppering in the shots at this moment in time in this new system that Pereira has him playing in. So we make the jump to Bet365 now, 1.95 here. Forest to score a goal. We've seen that they are in a very good place at the moment, and I think they're more than safe there. Going to end the season on a high given their Europa League campaign so far. Replaced Sean Dyche. I like Sean Dyche, but they replaced him at the right time. It's clear to see that these players need a different style of football. Morgan Gibbs-White, since that change, has been electric, as have other players. Elliot Anderson, by the way, has more touches this season than any other player in these two squads. So we are going with Forest to score. I am. You don't have to follow me. Let me know what you're on in the comments, as always. And for them to get more than 3 corners. And we saw Sunderland's data recently for corners. And then we can see Morgan Gibbs-White here, and Bet365 does give you a little snapshot of the shots on target data. 2, 1, 1, 1 and 3. 3 shots on target in his previous game, and a hat-trick, of course. For him to have another shot on target takes this to 3.1. It is the sweet spot for me. So let me know what you think about this one in the comments before we move on to Real Betis against Real Madrid. And don't forget to stick around, because we're going to be checking out the trends pages, and I'm going to show you how you can set bulk alerts on top games for over 1.5 goals this weekend in a matter of seconds. Real Betis against Real Madrid this evening, and it's going to be a tricky game, I think, for Real Madrid. I think they'll still win, because if you look at Betis and their home form, they are very tough to beat, but the teams that do beat them are the teams you would expect to beat them. Barcelona 5-3, Atletico Madrid 2-0, and Athletic Bilbao 2-1, which is actually how the table sort of looks, apart from Villarreal. You've got Betis in 5th, by the way. Fair play, they're not going to get in the top 4. There is a bit of a gap, and there is also a bit of a gap now from Real Madrid on 73 points. And Barcelona on 9 points. Is almost not possible for Real Madrid. The next game they play is Barcelona. So if Barcelona can stumble this weekend whilst Real Madrid win this game, again, unlikely, because Barcelona are winning every game that they play in La Liga at this moment in time, and I think they will coast to another title. The head-to-head data, which we will check out now, is interesting, because if we switch to the location history across the last 10 games, the away team has won just once, and we see Real Madrid with a victory in the last game 5-1, Real Betis with a win, Real Madrid with a win. No away win since August 2021, and Real Betis are a very good home team this season. Will they break that trend today, Real Madrid, and get an away victory? Well, they're as high as 1.93, which I think getting Real Madrid at those odds any time is pretty good. Let's just check out their recent form. They are, of course, out of the Champions League. They've beaten Alaves. They lost that crazy game to Bayern Munich. Away from home, they are conceding consistently this season. It has been a bit of an issue. I think Arbeloa will see out the season and then depart. There is talk of Iriola being offered a contract at Real Madrid, which I think would be very difficult for him to turn down. Let's take a look at the probability model then, and what you can do now with the probability model, as we see that the away win, just 44% with the model. We can sort by probability, so the highest probability items are now ranked, the highest at the top, of course. Over 1.5 goals is up there, first half goal at 83%, home or away, so a team to win 76%, under 3.5 goals at 63.3%. That is not a bad option. BTTS is 60%. I'm quite liking Real Madrid if you can get odds near evens. I think there's certain teams in the world, especially when they're not playing Barcelona, Bayern Munich, etc. If you can get them at that price, we've mentioned it on this channel earlier in the season with Cardiff. There's been a few games with Cardiff in League One this season where they've been evens to win, home or away. You just do it because you don't get that price. And if you check out the data for those teams, whenever they are at that price, when they're so clearly better than all the rest of the teams in the league, it's always worth it to flag and to get it on. So let me have a little bit of a dig around this game and then try and put something together which I deem valuable. And just as I'm exploring here, we see that Real Betis are a very card-heavy team. Their opponents booked 3 times per game on average. That's more than Real Madrid. They received 2 cards as well, 5 cards on average in their home games this season. If we toggle to overall, it goes down a little bit. And if we look at the last 10 home games, it goes up to 5.1. We can take a look at the referee as well and see that he is a card-heavy referee. 4.85 is his average across all of the games that we are tracking for him at this moment in time. Very, very heavy as well in terms of his second half cards. So kind of formulating an idea on this game right now. So across the last 10 games, Real Madrid are conceding just 4 goals in the first half, scoring just 4 goals in the first half as well. Big swing towards goals in the second half for them, 12 compared to 4. And they're also conceding slightly more. We can take a look as well. Most goals in the second half in 60% of recent away games. If we look at all competitions, all fixtures, it stays around 60% across all La Liga games. So they are a second half team. Same cannot be said about Real Betis, but I think they will want to keep things tight in that first half. And away from home, Real Madrid have scored in 80% of second halves played this season. So that makes my mind up on this. I was going to go with Real Madrid for the victory, but the odds on Bet365 pricing it up on here are not quite there, so feel free to shop around as you always should. Under 4 goals, I'm going to go with our probability model on this one, quite a high percentage for that market, and the odds are pretty decent. I think they're on around 1.61, so it's a nice baseline, a nice way to start the bet builder here. Both teams to receive a card. I think given the data of Real Betis, given how heated this game probably will be, I think that's a good play. And then Real Madrid to score in the second half of this game, as they have done in 80% of La Liga games played so far. 3.6. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. Let me know what you're on this weekend. We're going to take a look at a bit of a sad story next. And then after that, a very happy story as we set alerts on over 1.5 goals for this weekend. So from sunny Spain to Leicester, I guess, the middle of England, we have a team here that were champions of England 10 years ago, and now this week they have been confirmed as relegated. And I just want to ask you, have you heard of the dead cat bounces theory? If not, I'll put a bit of a description on here. It is a stock trading, investing term when an asset or a stock or a company that is basically considered dead, or deprecated or not worth much, and when it's sort of confirmed as such, it has a bounce or can have a bounce. It's like when a team everyone knows is going to be relegated, they finally get relegated, maybe the pressure is relieved, they have that bounce. It's bizarre, but it happens a lot. That's why there's a name for it. But with Leicester, I saw some clips from the game in the week. There was hardly any fans there. The ones that were there were quite toxic, and the atmosphere was not great, especially towards the manager, given that they were winning, and he brought on Harry Winks, who he's not got a good relationship with those fans, and then they concede about a minute later, which you couldn't write it really. So could they bounce? And by bounce, I don't mean win, I just mean score. BTTS is 1.75, which that means the bookies think it's more likely to happen than not. And for Millwall, this is a huge game. They are pretty much in the playoffs, but they're still chasing Ipswich for that automatic spot. Of course, they're level on points, but Ipswich have that game in hand. So every point at this stage matters, especially when Southampton are playing as they are as well. So a lot to play for in the Championship, and let me know what you think about this one in the comments. What we can do is an AI simulation, a match simulation, sorry, a Monte Carlo simulation for this one, and we get a 2-2 draw. A 2-2 draw, so a little bit of fight still from those Leicester City players. If I was the manager at Leicester, I would be playing the kids in this game, or playing players that have got something to prove. There's a lot of players that are out of contract that haven't done their job this season. Don't need to play them again, do you? Just tell them to stay away from the club until their contract's officially up, because they have not done their job this season. Right, we're going to take a look at the trends pages next and set some alerts for this weekend. So the trends pages, they allow us to see all of the top ranking teams across many markets. The market we are going to focus on in this video is over 1.5 goals, and we're looking at the next 24 hours. We're looking at the odds of Bet365. You can change this to any of our supported bookmakers here. And we're looking at the season's form, but we can also look at the last 10, and then you'll see that we have some 10 out of 10 records here. And we're looking at games all for today. We've got Monte in Italy. They are playing. They've failed to score in just 6% of games. So the trends page, it is a really good way to create quick short lists that are high potential games. Lens playing away from home tonight. In Liga 1, we see that they have seen over 1.5 goals in 93% of games and in 10 out of 10. So, you know what, for the purpose of this, let's keep the form to the last 10. And as I scroll there, I see both Real Betis and Leicester City. So to set alerts on all of these games, we just click the set alert button, and then you get some additional parameters that you can set up. So the minimum hit rate. So if you only want those 10 out of 10 records, you can keep this at 100. I'm going to go 90. So all of the games with 9 out of 10 are going to come into this. They're going to land in my Telegram when the odds start to rise. Maximum current odds, you can skip fixtures with current odds higher than this. We can leave that optional, or you can just put 1.4, any that are 1.4, just leave it for me. And what are your target odds? My target odds are 1.8. And then just scroll down there, we can see the set alerts button, 1.8, we hit set. It will go away, save the alerts to my user on the database, and we have 58 alerts set. That is it, it's done. Took me more than a couple of seconds because I was explaining it, but once you get used to this, you can then go to BTTS, you can go to over 2.5 goals, first half goals, and do the same kind of thing. Link to trends in the description, link to all of the tools we've used today. If you want a video tomorrow, 500 likes is the target. I will see you then, hopefully, in the next one.